And with that being said, I guess one last thing to talk about as far as movies are concerned is, of course, HBO Max. And I'm still having a bone to pick with HBO Max because I love the content they have. I think the rich library of stuff they have is fantastic. They've got a perfect mixture of new films and classic films. I think I'm more drawn to it for its classic films, if I'm going to be honest. And obviously the promise of more films to come in the future as contracts with Netflix and other services come up. It's very exciting to think about. Big problem with Netflix, or rather with HBO Max, though, is that not a lot of people can actually use it. Because unless you are okay being at a computer screen and watching a movie or television show on your computer screen, which most people don't really want to do, especially when they have a nice TV with a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick attached to it, leaves people in a very precarious position because some people are drawn to the content, want to have access to it, but they don't want to watch it on their small little computer screen, depending on what they have. So John, what are your thoughts about the rollout of HBO Max? Are you kind of with me where it's just been a complete botch because 70% of streamers, which are Roku and Amazon Fire, don't have access to it yet?
Yeah, and I'm one of those people who do not have access to it, even though I actually have an account with HBO Max, and that's really disappointing because I would love to actually watch the streaming service on my TV, but in some weird way, somehow they didn't think ahead in 2020 to give consumers that ability, and that's baffling to me that they didn't already have those contracts and agreements in place. Because if you go to Roku, they have HBO Go.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you just have HBO Max? So. Yeah. It's frustrating. It really is. And you shouldn't have to like hook up your laptop to your TV with an HDMI cable and then go on the laptop and use it and figure out which movie you want to watch. It's really frustrating. And I actually hate it. So I have not watched really anything on HBO Max. I have the app on my phone. I cruise through it to see what's on it. There's some good stuff on it, but until they figure it out, or I can just download an app, I just probably won't use it just for the sake of ease. I'll just stick to I guess Netflix, even though I'm so tired of Netflix. I feel like I've watched everything on it.
Yeah, dude, that's why I think it's a good idea, to be honest. You know, obviously you use NordVPN, I use ExpressVPN, and it's actually a cool way to access content that you don't have here in the United States, and that is available on, you know, Canada's Netflix or the UK's Netflix. That's how I was able to finish up Better Call Saul season 5, was because it was available on Netflix in the UK, not here in the States. But of course, that's a way to kind of open it up. But I agree with the sentiment that HBO Max again has all the potential with the content it has, but has dropped the ball. And as you mentioned, you have HBO now, you have HBO Go. So some people ask the question, what's the holdup? Well, basically, from what HBO Max and from what AT&T is revealing, is that they are expecting to get a similar deal that they got for HBO Now and HBO Go. They're expecting something similar as far as pricing. I don't really know exactly how that works out, like how much you have to pay to have your app featured in that way, for them to host the app in that way. I can't imagine it's a crazy amount of money, but hey, who knows? What I can say is this, though. It seems that Roku and Amazon Fire, or rather Amazon, are asking HBO Max to pay more, not only than what they paid for HBO Go and HBO Now to be on their service, but also apparently more than what Disney Plus had to pay for theirs as well, because they've mentioned in these, you know, letters and reports that they want to be treated fairly like everyone else, which seems to indicate that other services are giving better deals than what HBO Max is getting. So, yeah.
Odd. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? I wonder what's going on there with the political climate and why one's getting cheaper deals than the other. I just don't understand, though, to back up once again, I don't understand how HBO did not secure these contracts before going live with their streaming service.
Yeah, and as I mentioned on this on your podcast too, you know, I think they kind of took the Disney Plus mindset, because Disney Plus apparently did not have all of the services rounded up until about the week or so before is when they finalized a lot of deals. And so I think HBO Max thought, okay, they'll eventually, you know, we're about to launch. They're not going to say no to this traffic. They're going to come in. And they were like, nope, we want that money. We want that cash. See? And so basically it's like they're holding it hostage, because HBO and AT&T and the entire thing, they're saying we have these apps ready to go. They've actually said that they could get the apps live on Roku and Amazon Fire in minutes if the deals went through.
Just push the button.
Basically,
it always baffled my brain, like, why do we allow like companies like Roku to monopolize to pretty much control and dictate what streaming services are on this little cheap plastic thing you plug into the side of your TV? Why does AT&T just come out with their own version of this? You plug it in, it has everything on it, including their services. I don't understand it. It just it seems like there should be more options at this point.
I think there will be, right? Because I think that we're seeing it already, right? We're having the streaming wars now. You know, HBO Max is now in the game. Eventually, all the other major studios are going to have their own version of a streaming service as well, right? And it's going to be a massive war. And then, to me, it's just kind of funny because eventually we're going to get cable packages again, only it'll be through streaming and not the typical over-the-air cable packages that we've had before. Because eventually,
it's already there.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even to a higher extent, like where you're paying $100, like what you would normally do for a cable package, having stuff that you don't want or need. But that's gonna be the new frontier. But
then you pay $200 for all the stuff you actually want because you have to have 15 different versions of streaming services to actually get it to go because it's so segmented and separated. And that's even worse than what it once was.
Because you'll need an ABC streaming app, you'll need an NBC streaming app, you'll need this, that. Again, it'll all just eventually go crazy. But going on top of that, going to your point, I think you'll also see the rise of newer streaming devices too. Because it's really, when you look at, especially a lot of them are probably going to be Android based because Android's more open source. And so it'll probably be cheaper for AT&T to say, okay, let's pay Google whatever we need to pay to have access to the kernel or to the core software. And then let's build up our own OS around it to feature our content. But then also they'll be just like Roku or Amazon, where they'll also will feature other platforms if other platforms want to pay. And eventually that's what it's going to be. It's going to be everyone's going to have their own device. They're all going to be multiple streaming. Could you imagine, though, if they didn't allow other apps and you had to have 15 different devices for the 15 different networks that you're then paying a massive sum for to access all of them?
All plugged into the side of your TV with one wire into another wire with like 15 extension cords coming out, and you have wires in both of your ears. It's just like, what is happening? Yeah, I feel like we're getting to that point now.
And now a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And also to my Subscribe Star members: Edgardo Martinez, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod, the Beer Guru, and also Nebanon G. Adams and ZK Man. And Jonathan Carney. Thank you all so much for being a member of Patreon and Subscribestar. And seriously, it really does mean a lot. Helps keeps the light on, helps me able to do things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers on Patreon and Subscribestar, and also be able to put more stuff into the actual channel itself, including upgrading different components, whether it be webcams, microphones, things like that. All of that helps to support it, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you all so very much. Please, if you want to have your name shouted out or look at any of the other perks, which include things like indeed having access to exclusive 4K digital giveaways every single month, and also an exclusive podcast hosted on Patreon and Subscribestar, and also YouTube memberships as well at the $10 and up level, featuring John the Flickpig Flickinger. Please check all of those things out in the description of this video. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.